Okay. So today we'll be going through eProcurement 101. So this is just basic steps regarding eProcurement, and then I will show you where you can find all of the training guides and more specific information for bidding. Um, so the goal of this meeting is going to be just what is eProcurement as an overview, how you can get into the iSupplier portal and access online bidding, how to register, and then how you can view the bids and solicitations, both active and closed, and then how to respond to current bid solicitations, and then we will cover any questions that you may have at the end. So our mission statement is that DPS is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the city of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. eProcurement was established in 2017. It's the city's financial management procurement system. We often refer to as FMPS. So an Oracle that applies web technology to the acquisitions of goods and services. The iSupplier portal, which we'll be discussing today, is the full service resource for vendors doing business with the city of Chicago. All bids, RFPs, and RFQs are electronic and they're advertised through eProcurement. You must be a registered vendor to access the iSupplier portal online e-procurement system for all purchasing activities. You don't have to be registered to view it, but if you want to respond to any bids or ask questions via online discussion, you have to be a registered vendor with an account in iSupplier. So as a registered vendor in iSupplier portal, you'll be able to view and respond to bids and solicitations online. You'll be able to view orders and payments and invoices, and that applies to both past and present. And you can use the portal to update your company information. So if you want to add new points of contact or create new accounts, you can do that. You can update your address, phone, email. To assist vendors with the transition to the iSupplier portal and online bidding process, the city developed the eProcurement microsite. So this is a website that's basically a how-to manual for eProcurement. And the web address for that is www.chicago.gov/eprocurement. We do want you to know that security is very important to us, so the information is secure. City takes security seriously and ensures that all information is encrypted. The city uses the HTTPS protocol for secure communication. Bid solicitations are not visible to employees or other vendors prior to bid opening, so your active bid is secure. No one can see your active bid until we've opened that bid and read it out loud for the public, and then it is visible for everybody. So if you're a first-time vendor, login and registration, existing vendors with a city vendor number, click on the request to request an iSupplier invitation button to direct your request to customer support. New vendors without an existing city vendor number, click on the new vendor registration button. So if you're a new vendor and you've never done business with the city before, even if you've done business with one of our city agencies, that doesn't count. It's only if you have done business with the city. You have to supply a W-9 that has your FEIN or tax ID, and it has to be attached to your new vendor registration request as a PDF. So if it's not attached to your registration request, then we'll return it back to you requesting that information. And you also have to make sure that the business name of the company and the tax ID match what is on the W-9 to what you're submitting. So you can't put in one company name when you're requesting it, but then attach a W-9 that doesn't match. You have to make sure that the company name and the tax ID number, FEIN number match what you're submitting on the PDF. So this is what the iSupplier portal looks like. This is the microsite. So if you go to the website, this is what you'll see on the homepage. So this is where you'll see a lot, the announcements will be here. So if we have any new information, this is where you can see the list of workshops for eProcurement or delegate agencies. All of that information is here on the homepage for the microsite. This is what the login and registration tab looks like. So this is what you would click on if you want to register to be a vendor. Here again, it is listing that these are some of the sister agencies you may have worked with, and you still have to register with the City of Chicago, even if you're already registered with these agencies. Excuse me. So this is the iSupplier, the request an iSupplier invitation button that you would choose. And if you click on this, it would give you more information on how to follow those steps if you were unsure. So when you click on that button, this is for new vendors with the City of Chicago. So this is for vendors who've never been registered with the city, you've never done business with the city or received a payment from the city. You would click on this button and it would take you to the new vendor registration page where you would attach your W-9 and enter in all the pertinent information. This tab is for current bids and solicitation opportunities. This page is what will bring you to all of the bid opportunities and current solicitations that the city is offering at this time. From the link, you can also see any previous bids that we've had open that have been closed or have been canceled. By clicking on this link here, preview pre-bid and pre-submittal, you can see any companies that have attended conferences for bids that you may be interested in, or if your company or your business attends one of these conferences, you can see that list there. This link also brings you to any non-eProcurement bids or solicitation opportunities. It's very, excuse me. This is where we might advertise for other agencies that want city bidders to take a look at them. All of the DPS or procurement bids that go out for the city of Chicago would be found at this eProcurement bid and solicitation opportunities page. But it's always good to check this out just to see if there was something else of interest to you. Occasionally you will find one or two bids from sister agencies that they may want us to advertise there. When you click on this orange button, you're going to come to this page that says current bid opportunities. By clicking here where it says download the bid opportunity list, you can click on this and it will open up a PDF for you. And this will be a list of all current bids that are available for you to bid on. It will list when those bid submissions are due, when those bids are going to open, what department it's for. So that would be a comprehensive list of everything that you would find on the abstract page. And this is showing you from our DPS home screen. So this is kind of going back how you can view contracts that have been awarded. So if you were interested in looking at previous solicitations that were advertised, that is how you would access those. So this is the abstract page. When you click on this button, eProcurement bid and solicitation opportunities, it brings you to this abstract page. And this is where you can view all eProcurement bid opportunities. This screenshot shows you a status of active. So this is only all the active things If you wanted to view something that was closed or canceled previously, you can change the status and hit go. But this is going to show you all of the bids that are open, what department it is, the solicitation number, the spec number, title, date it was advertised, and all these other details. So we'll go through what each one of these means in just a moment. When you click on this details link right here, it will bring you to this screen, which gives you slightly more information than what you saw on the last screen, but it's just specific for that project. And this is what you will see here. And then here where it says document and PDF file, this is where you can click and download the PDF of the solicitation if you want to view it. Once you download the PDF, you can save it or print it or view it in whatever way is best for your business. So this is what the login screen looks like. So if you already have a password, your username is your email address. Your password you would get a link to if you're a new user. So you would be directed, they'd email you a temporary password. Upon entering that temporary password, then you're prompted to change it to something permanent that is useful for you. But this is what the login screen looks like. Once you've logged in, this is what your home screen is going to look like. You should have 2 folders available to you: City of Chicago iSupplier portal with invoice creation, and then also City of Chicago online bidding. So if you're a new vendor or this is your first time bidding, it is very important that you make sure when you log in that you have these 2 folders. If you don't have the second folder that says City of Chicago online bidding, then you're not able to bid or receive online discussions or any information regarding any of the open bids. So if you log in and you see that, then you should contact the help desk right away, and I'll be giving you information on how to contact the help desk later in the presentation. But City of Chicago online bidding, this is what you would click on to log in and make sure and answer any of the bids. So this is showing you what your work list would look like. So if you had started working on, I'm interested in this bid on these barriers, I'm going to start working on this solicitation, and you leave it in a draft form and you don't submit it, you'll see this here as a draft. If you've already submitted something, then it will show as an active solicitation here under your work list. So once you do have things open, this is some information regarding what all of these things mean. The response number, that's the number that's received when a solicitation has been saved. That number is specific to you and your company. So it's important if you do have to contact us, if you're having an issue, the response number can be very helpful for us to find or determine what the issue may be. The response status is important. An active status means that your bid has been submitted. So that means you've completed everything that you were required to do, and now you've submitted that bid. So that means you're done. Draft means that you began the process, but you've saved it, but you haven't submitted it yet. So if you left it in a draft status and you hadn't submitted it to us, then we wouldn't. That's not considered a complete bid. It has to be. You have to go through all of the steps and make sure that it's active in order for the City of Chicago to be able to view that bid. And then the third status that you will see is resubmission required. Resubmission required is often a status that is triggered after you have submitted a bid. So the bid was active, but now we have issued an addendum that may have changed possibly the due date, or we may have added a line or updated a description of something. So anytime an addendum is put out by the City of Chicago, the bidder is required to acknowledge receipt of that. So if you see a resubmission required, that means that an addendum was put out and we need you to acknowledge receipt of it. Supplier's site, that's something that's currently not used by DPS, but solicitation number is the RFQ number. So we see that here, 6443, 1, 6532. Those are examples of solicitation numbers. The title of the project is here. These digits at the beginning of the title indicate the specification number, and then you'll always see the spec number, a colon, and then the title of the project. So bridge and viaduct painting is the title. Type terminology that's just similar. It's for eProcurement solicitations. It's always going to be RFQ. So you'll always see RFQ as type. Time left, that's how much time you have remaining before the due date or the bid proposal opening. So here, all of these are all closed, but if the due date was tomorrow, you would see 1 day, you might see 23 hours and so many minutes. If there are multiple responses, this monitor button will be yellow and you can click on it and just see how many people have responded. Messages is an important thing to review, because if you have sent a message to the procurement specialist, or the procurement specialist will often send out messages to anyone who is interested or is bid or is on the takeout list, providing you with information. Like if they issue an addendum, then they may send that information also via online discussion, just as a way of notifying you that the bid is being extended or whatever may have changed. But also this is a way for you to ask questions as needed. So when you're in eProcurement and you're going to search for a solicitation to respond to, and the negotiations tab, this is how you can search. The title is the specification number, and the number is the RFQ number. So iSupplier automatically defaults to title. So if you're searching for title, then you would have to use the spec number, which is the number found at the beginning of the title. Or you can choose to search by number and then use the RFQ number. Whatever is easiest for you. Both work well, but these are the only two ways that I would recommend searching. Otherwise, you're going to come back with lots of different information, and it's going to make it harder to find what you're specifically looking for. Once you have found the bid that you want to respond to, so in this case, they searched by RFQ number 8332. And it's come up in the search. Now you have to select that bid and hit respond. If you hit respond without choosing this, without selecting this radio button, you're going to get an error message, and you may be confused as to why, since it's the only thing there. Even though it's the only thing that came up in the search results, you still have to select it and click the respond button. Once you have chosen to respond, then you have to accept and agree to these basic terms and conditions. So when you accept the terms and conditions, your firm is added to the takeout list. So it's important to make sure that you click the box saying you've read and accepted the terms and conditions and clicked accept in order to make sure your firm is added to the takeout list. By being added to the takeout list, as I said before, the procurement specialist will know that you're interested in this bid, even if you haven't, submitted anything, and they will send you any updates or information that may occur regarding the bid. All of the information that they would send you would still be available online from the abstract page if it was an addendum. But this is just a way to make sure that any interested bidders are aware of any changes that may be occurring to the solicitation. Once you click accept, it's going to bring you to your active solicitations page, and you're going to have a header and a lines tab. All of this information is required in order to submit your bid. So whatever questions may be listed here for your specific solicitation, everything has to be answered yes or no. And there may be a long list or a longer list depending on what it is that you're bidding on. But if you try and submit it without that, you'll receive an error message up here telling you that something has not been answered. So make sure you're not missing anything. Make sure that you have checked this little box here next to commodities. Right now it's a minus, but sometimes if you see a plus next to that and you hit it, it will expand items that you may have missed, just in case. Make sure that that hasn't occurred, and make sure that you answer all of these questions. If you want to, when you want to attach something, so you're attaching your solicitation or insurance, your certificate of insurance you want to attach. When you click on add attachment, you're going to choose file, and then you're going to use this brown browse button to navigate to wherever you may have that file saved on your PC. And then you'll hit save. And then you want to make sure that you see the attachment listed here. On the lines tab, this is where you'll see the individual lines for the items that you're bidding on. And this is where you can enter how much you want to bid for each of those items. The estimated quantities will already be filled in by the city of Chicago. So you just have to enter in the price. In this example, we're picking $4 and $5 for valves. You have to make sure that you respond to all of the lines. All of them require a response in order to move forward with the bidding process. Once you have completed this, or you've completed part of it and you hit save, this is where you'll see at the top of the screen there's a quote number, 87026. That quote number is specific to your company. The RFQ number, 6049, that's the general RFQ for all bidders. This is the title, and it's letting you know that you have saved it as draft. So when you hit the save button, make sure that you get this confirmation notification to ensure that you have hit the save button and it has processed that in order to save your material. Once you have saved it as draft, you can log out and come back in at a later date to complete that submission. This is where the online, you can access online discussions. At the top of the negotiations tab, you will see this actions, and you can choose online discussion and hit go. You can also see in this example, there's 2 unread messages. If you ever have this message here, you can also click on that link and it will bring you directly to the unread messages that you have waiting. So this warning is saying that this particular RFQ has been amended. And to be considered for award, you have to acknowledge the addendum. So this was submitted, and then an addendum was issued, and it requires resubmission. So that's what this warning is. This is an example of what you would see if that occurred in the bidding process. This is what the online discussion screen looks like. As you can see here, there's 2 unread messages that you can view. And this is also how you can send a new message. So if you wanted to send a new question regarding something that, about the addendum, or another question that you may have had, or an issue that you're having, you can click on new message. This is how you have, this is what the screen looks like when there is an addendum sent out. So an addendum has been issued and you have to acknowledge it. You have to say, yes or no. If you say yes, then again, you would be added to the takeout list if you weren't already. But you have to say yes in order to proceed and um, to submit your bid. So here's just some tips. Make sure that you complete an electronic signature. If you didn't do this, your submission is still in draft and it's not valid. So if you didn't complete all the signature steps that were required of you, your solicitation will stay in draft. So make sure the status is active for any quotes that you've submitted. So if you've finished it and you've submitted it, make sure that that status is active. And you'll receive a confirmation email the next day. So if you submitted something today, you'll receive a confirmation email the next day. We still always recommend that you check for addenda that may have been issued after you receive it. And you'll see that that status has changed to resubmission required. Responses must be submitted through eProcurement. So we no longer accept paper bids. Those responses are not allowed. Everything has to be submitted electronically through eProcurement. Addenda needs to be acknowledged in the system. And as we showed you in those previous screens, you just check the box and say yes, acknowledging that you have seen and read the addendum. For responses, if required, you have to fill out the PDF forms. You have to scan and upload as an attachment. Also, make sure you fill in the total price in the line provided. Submit detailed pricing on sheets if they're provided. Some solicitations will require that. For RFPs, enter 0.01, and then you can enter the pricing on the sheets provided. So if the bid specifies, if it's an RFP and they've uploaded or attached a pricing sheet to the bid, you just fill out the specific information on the Excel spreadsheet that's been attached to the bid. And then in iSupplier, you can just enter 0.01 so that the system registered something and you can submit your bid. If the bid that you're responding to has groups in it, which oftentimes some of the bids will have separate groups, so maybe north, south, west, A, B, or C, and you only want to respond to A and B, you don't want to respond to C. The way you do that is you enter a no bid for that group that you don't want to respond to. You enter 9 zeros and a 1 for all lines in that group. And they will specify this in the directions for that bid, but this is how you let us know that you don't actually want to bid on it, but the system is requiring some kind of information. So an important number to remember or email to remember is the eProcurement help desk. It's 312-744-HELP. So you can call. They are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Most holidays they will be closed too, but they will respond via email as also. So if you have a question and the help desk isn't open and you want to submit the response, submit the question, it's customersupport@cityofchicago.org. So you can either call or email. And if the help desk can't help you, if it's something more specific to that bid or there's a bigger issue, the ticket will be escalated to somebody else. This is the online trainings material tab that you'll see at the eProcurement microsite. So this online training material contains a lot of useful information for everybody. There's many videos, there's PDFs, there's FAQs to assist you in the process. These videos will take you through how to submit a solicitation step by step. We also have videos here on how to update, you can add a new address, add new contacts, how to update your vendor record, and how to do all of those things. So this is a very useful tool to utilize if it's the first time you're using iSupplier, it's your first time you're submitting electronic bid. So I would recommend checking these out maybe before calling the help desk, because the answer to your question may be right here in these videos and FAQs. So again, I'm just going to reiterate the help desk phone number is 312-744-HELP, or you can email customer support at cityofchicago.gov. The training materials are all very useful that I just showed you on the training page. Okay, so do we have any questions?
Thank you, Fiona. Yeah, there were a couple that came up in the chat, it looks like. Ty Mitchell just wants to confirm that you can't see others' responses to bids, correct?
That is correct. Prior to bid opening, no one can see any of the responses to a bid.
Okay.
Once the bid has opened, and so now all of the bids have been submitted, and we've closed that bid out to any new responses, all of the bid tabs will be available online for transparency. So after the fact, after the bid has closed, then you can see everything that's bid. And at the time that we also read all of those bids out loud at the time of opening. So today we may have had a bid opening today at 11 o'clock. So at 11 o'clock, we would have opened up that bid and read everything, but that would have been the first time that information was public. And even as employees, no one can see what those bids are until it opens to everybody.
And just to add to that, folks, anyone can attend a bid opening. It is open to the public, and we do advertise those. You guys can attend them just to see what they're like, just to prepare to know what to expect for a contract that you might be interested in bidding on as well. There is also another question. Ty also asks, will we receive an alert or email if an addenda is issued?
You will receive an alert if an addenda is issued if you're on the takeout list. So if you've gone in to look at that quote, as I showed during the presentation, if you viewed the quote and you check the box acknowledging the terms and conditions, that automatically adds you to the takeout list. So if you're on the takeout list, yes, you will receive both a system alert and generally an email. If you haven't acknowledged in any way that you're interested in it, then no, you won't receive, a notification because we wouldn't know who to notify. But as long as you make sure you check that box to get added to the takeout list, you will receive a notification.
All right, there's another question. Is there a way to search for all abstracts from a specific department?
No. Any open bids, once you go to the abstract page, you can sort by department, but there is no search functionality for department name.
Okay. And you can sort alphabetically, so it's not, you can't filter for a particular department, but you can look, yeah. We have one more question. How can we attend bid openings?
The bid openings are actually on YouTube. So anyone can view them. You can view past bid openings on YouTube, and you can attend any current bid. They're open to anybody and everybody. So you would just have to, based on the abstract page is where you would find out if there were bid openings today or tomorrow. And then you would just go to our YouTube page.
Are there any other questions? I'll give you folks a minute to type anything in the chat. We'll wait a little bit. While we're waiting, I'll just remind you that our YouTube link is youtube.com/ChicagoDPS, and a recording of this workshop will also be uploaded there in case you want to review anything that's been discussed. Looks like there are 2 more questions. What were the 2 ways that you suggested we look up abstracts?
By title. And so if you choose title, you would look by spec number. So title equals spec number. I know that one's a little confusing. And then number equals RFQ number. So those are the 2 best ways, RFQ number or spec number. I think RFQ number is probably the simplest.
Okay, and 1 more question. How long does it take to know if you got the bid or not?
That will depend on each different on what's being bid. There are multiple factors for most bids that are put in for commodities or work services. Anything or that's just a basic, we take the lowest responsive bidder. But there are factors in that to ensure that someone's responsive. We also offer bid incentives that can factor into the bids. I would say usually within a couple of months, you would know. That could be shorter or longer, depending on what it is that we're bidding for. With RFPs that are professional services, and there's actual you're submitting more than just, you're submitting a proposal, that can take much longer. But I would say in general, a couple of months.
All right, are there any other questions? Well, if folks, if anything occurs to you after the fact, after we end this call, don't hesitate to reach out to us again at dps.feedback@cityofchicago.org. I'll write that in the chat again. We check that email regularly, and we try to get answer your questions as soon as we can. We go to our subject matter experts, and we tell you everything that is publicly available information that we try to share with you. And you can also email us at any time for questions that may or may not have to do with eProcurement specifically, but anything about the procurement process, we'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is recorded. Sorry, Yolanda, sorry that you were late. This is recorded. We will be uploading it to our YouTube by the end of the week. Our YouTube is youtube.com/ChicagoDPS. If you scroll up the chat, you can also see it written out. And there's also past workshops available on our YouTube channel. So if anybody is interested in other workshops, maybe you don't have time to attend or the scheduling doesn't work out for you, you can always find a library of all of our previous workshops. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And please take a moment to fill out the survey that you're going to get at the end of this workshop. That information is really helpful for us in doing what we do. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. Bye, everyone.